Coming up on Theater Talk.
Michelle Sweeney was voted class clown in my class in high school. Where is she now? Is she on the Off-Broadway? I seriously doubt it, Michelle Sweeney.
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation.
My first real love, Italian. I mean, I'm a Lampanelli. When you're Italian, eating is everything. I didn't care what I ate or how much I ate. When I ate, my mom smiled.
From New York City, this is Theater Talk. I'm Susan Haskins.
And I'm Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
Our guest is known as the Queen of Mean, but now she is a playwright and starring in her first off-Broadway play, Stuffed, a play I'm reading. It's opened for you,
Why
but
don't you
not
give her
for
a
us.
name?
Thank you.
You two are like more brutal than I am in the comedy stage. I'm telling you.
Here's our guest. No one knows what her name
Okay.
is. No idea.
I'm so famous, she doesn't have to say it.
Michael's the Butcher of Broadway. Did you know that?
I certainly did. That's
Yes,
why I'm scared
yes.
to death right
We
now.
still don't know her name, Susan. She's a guest.
Lisa Lampanelli.
The very beautiful, gorgeous, and
I
talented
have
Lisa.
admired you from afar for so many years.
Oh, how nice that you stayed away.
You are marvelous, but you have written Stuffed, a play about women's stories of body obsession
Yes.
and food obsession. And I must say that you and I, both having lost in our lives significant amounts of weight.
Yes.
Welcome to Bulimia Talk.
Yes, right?
No, are very interested in this topic. Now,
Well, the thing is, I had struggled with my weight from age 18 when I went to college till age 50.
You look great now.
Oh, thank you. I lost 107 pounds 4 years ago and kept it off. And I had gotten the surgery to get rid of it. But then you find out, oh my God, now I have to work on keeping it off. And like the source of why I ate, which was emotion.
Yeah.
So to me, it wasn't like, oh, I'm Italian, so I eat a lot. It's
No.
like, I'm lonely, let me binge.
No.
So basically, the show grew out of that, of the struggle with food. And I have never met a woman who hasn't had a struggle with food, body image, and a lot of men have also. So I was like, oh, this is going to be cool.
a lot of it is imposed upon us, although I do think that food is also a physiological addiction. You know,
See,
that it's hardwired into our brain.
I'm going to say I agree with you,
Yeah.
but I don't.
Okay.
Please, take her out. Take her down.
No, what I wonder, I don't ever view it as up there in addictions with like alcohol and drugs, because that to me seems impossible. But food, I think, sugar has an addictive quality, I think. But I think for me and a lot of other people, it's just like, oh my God, I'm uncomfortable with my feelings, so I eat. So what's funny about it is like, I lose the weight and I suddenly think, oh my God, my life has changed. I'm going to get asked out. I'm going to have confidence.
No.
You don't grow confidence just from losing weight. So that's sort of what the play came in, where I go, you know what, let's unmask this whole struggle for everybody. And it's 4 women, great actresses, and they just all play these different people with these
We've
things.
got Anne Harada.
Anne Harada, oh my God, she's so great. She plays the big girl who loves herself. Because honestly, how many big girls have you met that really legitimately have confidence? It's very tough.
Look at you, Lisa. You're a big girl, but then you made it. You didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to stay this way, a big girl."
Well,
then
I
you
also
went to a point where you got off.
Well, I was worried about my health
Yes.
too, because
Oh, yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
my ex-husband and I, at the time we were married, we went to the doctor when we hit 50, and we said to the weight loss surgeon, you know, should we get this operation? He goes, how many people do you know who weigh what you do when they hit 70?
Yeah,
and that like kicks in when you're 50 going, oh my God, I wanted to live 40 years, not 20. Okay.
Did you ever read Fat is a Feminist Issue?
I certainly did when I
Right.
was 20.
And such an important book, which made the point that many women are so appalled by the way they're treated in this culture that they wall themselves off with weight, and also walling off unwanted sexual advances,
Well, yes.
i.e., rape.
Well,
kind of
what's
a way.
interesting
Yes.
is I tried everything to lose weight before the operation, which is why I felt morally okay doing the operation, saying I've exhausted all other things.
Put in the time.
Right. So, yeah, after 32 years, you go, I'm done. I go to this food addiction rehab place once. I checked myself into this place for 28 days in Arizona. So it's very high-end rehab. And they said how many women in here had unwanted sexual advances. There was like 40 girls in there. Everyone raised their hand except me. First of all, I felt left out. Secondly, no, but really, I go, wow, food is a way of saying, okay, step back. And I figured out, I don't want to have people step back. I want people to be closer to me. Like, I really want to be somebody that people can talk to and relate to. So we don't need the fat. We can have voices to say no.
Is this a comedy, though?
You know what's funny? It has, Alan Zweibel.
Yeah, I love Alan.
I love him. He helped. This was going to be a one-person show. So Alan and I were working on it as a one-person show about me. And I didn't find it said enough about this whole issue. Like, I didn't want to just put myself out there.
Yeah.
I wanted to, like, help all other types of people. So Alan had said to me, and I remembered this, he goes, do not worry about the funny. It's going to come out. He goes, write it all serious. And then in rehearsals and then in rewrites, it just gets funny without forced. You know how that is when you force a laugh?
Yeah.
So anything that seemed like a Lisa Lampanelli punchline, we took out.
Right.
And now in rehearsals, when things come in, we go, oh my God, that's great. I was flattered by, we tried this at the Westport Country Playhouse as just a reading, and then we did it at Sag Harbor at Bay Street. And both audiences, I was so happy, said, you can really write because all 4 women sound so different.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, thank God. Because I didn't want to do just me. I could just do stand-up the rest of my
You
life.
can make
It's
a
so
fortune
easy.
doing just you.
Are you kidding? Nobody goes into theater to make dough
Yeah.
unless you're
No,
I mean, come
Not the
on.
Westport Country Playhouse, my dear.
Honey.
I'd say
Let's not happen
you do
there.
quite well for yourself being Lisa Lampanelli.
I'm quite
Um,
wealthy, as you know. That's how I could afford this beautiful Hamilton dress. I wore this for you, by the way, because I know that's your favorite
I
show
love Hamilton.
ever.
I know.
It's
I made that show. I made that show. Would be
now-
nowhere without my.
I'm so obsessed with Hamilton, you wouldn't believe it.
Oh, you are. He hates
Oh my
it.
God, I love it so much. I went opening night, by the grace of God. I got invited through the producer, and I will tell you, I have not seen a musical since because I feel I would be cheating on Hamilton.
Michael disliked Hamilton so much that he wrote about it and they canceled their appearance here, and that's the truth.
Their appearance here?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God, why did you hate it? I just have to know between us.
Well, listen. My tastes are my grandmother's tastes.
Oh, I see.
Sigmund
Okay.
Romberg and Richard Rodgers.
Okay.
So I can't.
love that too.
I can't pretend to be. I'm hip to rap music,
Yeah.
hip hop. So I didn't like it at that level. And then when I really turned on it was when everybody else in the media was slobbering all over it. Because
know,
I'm
I'm one of
I'm a
those people.
contrarian. Once you love
know
it so
that.
much, I've got to find a reason to hate it.
Now, Lisa.
Yes.
The funny,
A more important feminist conversation
That's-
coming
Yes,
right here.
I sense something.
Here's Susan. Here she goes.
You can hear it coming. The funny fat woman is a stereotype, which you certainly made hay with big time.
Yes.
Now that you are a svelte woman.
Yes.
Have you lost your act?
No, thank God. Okay, even if I lost 100 pounds, which I did, I'm never going to win a beauty contest. I'm never going to be a model or freaking Miss America. I still have a lot wrong with me, like physically and mentally. So I still have enough the audience can relate to me. So I always feel like just because you lose weight doesn't mean you're not funny anymore. And
But a lot of heavy people are
We used to be heavy.
funnier because they had to be when they were children.
well, yeah,
to
I
adjust.
always said I developed a personality because I was never the one who you were going to ask out because I'm a looker.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
certainly now I'm phenomenally gorgeous.
Exactly.
However, I've grown into myself, you know?
Did you develop the Queen of Mean persona when you were a kid? Were you running down the other kids and mocking her?
Oh, no. I think what happened was I do remember making fun of teachers a lot.
Well, that's makes you very popular.
Yes, they like that. Well, the teachers don't, but the students think it's good. But you also pissed me off. Michelle Sweeney was voted class clown in my class in high school. Where is she now? Is she on the Off-Broadway? I seriously doubt it, Michelle Sweeney.
Before we go, I do want to say you were on The Celebrity Apprentice.
Oh my God, I sure was, honey.
Are you going to be in the Trump cabinet?
You know, I don't think so unless I'm Speaker of the House or Master of the House. See, I'm a Broadway gal.
Are you allowed to express any feelings about this, the possibility that
Well,
you're
I'm allowed to
president?
do anything, thank God, because I'm self-employed. So who's going to really fire me? All I could say is, well, I got really mad at Trump when he insisted that Obama come up with the birth certificate. I thought that was very negative. So I say the only way Trump can be elected is if he produces a document that says what the hell that thing is on his head. Because I have no idea, and I got to study it for 16 weeks.
You
in the
did. You
boardroom.
really looked closely at that hair. And
16 weeks?
Did you ever see him comb it?
I have never seen anything touch that thing.
But I want to ask, did you think of him
As the chief executive?
Yeah. I mean, you were all there. You were all there for us to say, "Oh yes, Mr. Trump," and
Yeah,
and,
you have
and
to
I
kinda
thought
do that.
his treatment of you was.
Yeah, but I did stay on to the top
did. You
four,
were there for
and
quite a
I
while,
earned
yeah.
130 grand for the gay men's health crisis.
All right.
So I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
after I took my 75% cut, it was fine.
But
Sounds like it comes from the Trump Foundation.
Thank you. Oh my God.
you were with him a lot. I mean, is that possible at all to your mind that he should be president?
Oh, I don't think so. I thought it just got out of control. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was like something that the Republican Party was like, just joking around.
Well, Michael Moore said that he was trying to get a higher salary from NBC. So he said, okay, I'll run for president. So he went ahead and did it. And then people across the country, many of who may be our viewers, supported him. And there he is.
Well, let's put it this way. If they come to see my show,
You love him.
I will vote for Trump or Hillary, whoever you tell me to. So people come see my show.
Discount at stuff for the basket of deplorables. Wrap it up, Susan.
Lisa Lampanelli.
End it all, Susan!
And I'm just very sorry you didn't take any pot shots at Michael Riedel, the butcher of
I
Broadway.
can't. I want to get him to say nice things about me.
Exactly.
I saw him on Smash. Everybody was scared of him. Did you have fun, by the way, on Smash?
I had a great, you know what the best part about it? I had my own trailer.
Oh, that's the
with my name on it. I love being in the
cool.
trailer. I love being in the trailer.
There's something about it.
And
Did they
you'll-
give you a big one? You have your own bathroom?
No, I had a halfie.
Well, you'll be
you
there.
had your-
Talk. Next time I'll get you a better one.
You'll be there again.
you'll negotiate for me.
Lisa
Okay.
Lampanelli.
The play is called Stuffed.
Come see it.
What theater is that again?
McGinn Kazal, the Women's Project, or now they call themselves the WP.
WP.
Yes, I don't know why, but whatever.
All right.
Thank you for being our guest on Theater Talk.
Thanks, pal.
I'll see you in your trailer.
Yeah.
Now, Susan, there is a great new book about the theater, the musical theater. It is not my book, Razzle Dazzle, I must say. It outranks me on Amazon. It is called The Secret Life of the American Musical, How Broadway Shows Are Built, by Jack Viertel, who is the Senior Vice President at Jujamcyn Theaters, one of the companies that owns all the Broadway theaters. So welcome to Theater Talk, Jack.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
And congratulations on the success
Thank you
of the
again.
book. So, The Secret Life of the American Musical Theater, what does that title mean? What is
Well,
the secret?
the title came to me in one of those flashes, and I thought, that's a good title. And it reminded me of when we were developing Smokey Joe's Cafe, and I said, the title of the show is Smokey Joe's Cafe, which is a song that's not even in the show.
Right.
And everybody said, why? And I said, because it sounds like a title. So this sounded like a title. But the underlying reason for the title is, I think that there's a pattern of structure that supports a lot of musicals, going all the way back to Oklahoma and beyond, and going all the way forward to Hamilton and beyond. And you can find these same patterns in many, many shows. And so that is, when we're building shows now, and I've worked on a lot of new musicals, we're semi-aware of that pattern, and sometimes when we find a solution to a problem, it turns out it's the same solution that many other shows
That
use.
Rodgers and Hammerstein
that
found
Rodgers and
40 years
Hammerstein
ago.
used. So I thought, well, it's a secret language in a way, and even we don't know we're speaking it a lot of the time.
Give us a couple of these key moments in the structure of a show that you have found all of the great shows have in them.
The key rule that I think people tend to believe is an inviolable rule, or an almost inviolable rule, is the idea that a show needs an active protagonist who's trying with every fiber of his body and soul, or her body and soul, more often her actually, to achieve something, and that there's a very big resistance to the achievement. And so you have a contest that's worth watching.
And you can give us an example of...
And, well, Gypsy's the most famous example probably of all, because you've got a woman who is bound and determined to make her two children stars in vaudeville, and A, vaudeville is dying and is going to be dead by the time these two girls are grown up. B, they're not talented. And C, she's crazy. Right. So there's a lot standing in the way of her achieving this goal, and that makes it interesting.
But that's an interesting point, though, because we do think of the big character who wants something.
Right.
But it's not enough to want it. You've got to put the hurdles in the way for the
Right.
drama.
There have to be hurdles, and one of the things I discovered, sort of one of those discoveries I was talking about, is there's a whole kind of sub-genre of shows that have hurdles beyond the hurdles. And they're in some ways the most interesting ones. And I'm thinking of two in particular. Hairspray, which is about a girl who wants to dance on a TV show. That's her want, right?
Right.
And a third of the way through the first act, she gets to dance on a TV show.
Right.
Theoretically, the show is over at that point.
Right.
But what she discovers when she gets to the TV studio is that the show is segregated, and that there's tremendous prejudice against allowing the African Americans even in her school to appear, except once a month, which is so insulting. And she goes from wanting to dance on a TV show to wanting to integrate the whole world.
Right.
And so it's I call it the hill beyond the hill.
There's your second act.
Largely because there's a song and a musical we did at Encores called "There's a Hill Beyond the Hill," but not, private jokes abound in the book. And My Fair Lady is the same kind of structure. My Fair Lady is about a girl who wants to speak proper English so she can work in a flower shop,
Right.
and a man who wants to teach her in order to win a bet.
Right.
Well, they win the bet, right? She learns. And then it turns out he's created her. She's a new person. What's he supposed to do with her?
Right.
What's she supposed to do
With
now
herself
that she has,
now.
now that she has all the accoutrements of being an upper-class lady, but none of the
Wealth.
foundation behind it, you know? So there's a hill beyond the hill, and
Also, she's
that's always
dealing with
fascinating.
his incredible contempt.
Right. She's dealing with his incredible contempt and the fact that they actually, in some inchoate way, have feelings for each other,
Yes.
which makes the show interesting.
What about these moments in the show? I thought this was interesting too. There's sort of breathing moments where, you know, you've got the plots moving along, but you need that time for the audience to relax and not give them so much information, but to just enjoy a moment.
I think that's true, and I think it comes from the artists who make these shows gradually over long periods of time, understanding sort of the biorhythms of the audience. They know that after they've introduced a hero and introduced a world and maybe set up a love story and set up the hurdles, you have to have recess. We all have to have recess.
Right.
You know, right after third period is recess, and so you get numbers like "Put on Your Sunday Clothes" and "Jubilation Tea Corn Pone" from Lil Abner, for those who know Lil Abner.
And there's one in Guys and Dolls too, where is it when they're in Havana?
Yes, you
No,
said
that's
that
later.
was-
that's later in the
You
act.
called that the tent pole.
Yeah,
when
that's
you went to
later in the
Havana.
act. But there is one in Guys and Dolls, and it's called "A Bushel and a Peck."
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And almost all these shows have them, and they need them. The audience needs it.
Now, in your book, you emphasize 5 key musicals: Gypsy, My Fair Lady, Guys and Dolls, Little Shop of Horrors, Hairspray, and The Book of Mormon. What do those have in common?
Well, they're very well written shows, and they all use many of these patterns to their benefit. But I have to say, they also are just shows that I love, and I had enormous fun writing about. So while I enjoyed discovering and working on many other shows in the book, I kept coming back to these 5 shows. And to be fair, I taught for about a decade at the Tisch School at NYU, and those were the shows that were easiest and most rewarding to teach, because they demonstrated to the students all of these ways in which people build shows.
This thing called the concept musical.
Yeah.
Steve Sondheim, Hal Prince, Company, Follies. Is it ignoring some of these rules, or if we will look closely, is it still following these rules?
Some of them ignore some of these patterns. I refuse to call them rules or formulas. But you find that some of these patterns turn up anyway. I mean, if you look at you mentioned tent poles, which is a term that I use to talk about the fact that before the end of the first act, usually the audience needs a big burst of energy just to get them through that last 10 minutes that leads to the horrible crisis that can never be repaired,
Right.
which is then usually repaired in Act 2. So you look at a song like Another 100 People from Company, which is
Right.
not a big production number,
Right.
which a tentpole usually is. It's usually the Motherhood March from Dolly, or Tevye's Dream, or something like that. Or the entire Revolution in Hamilton is basically a tentpole. Comes 10 minutes before the end of Act 1. And Another 100 People functions exactly the same way. Even though it's a solo, even though it has 2 little scenelets in the middle of it, it brings down the house, and it energizes the audience and gets them to the curtain, the first act curtain. So some of these concept musicals do that in various ways, and some of them actually just have managed to ignore certain things.
So give me an example of a concept musical that has ignored some of your patterns.
I think Follies ignores a lot of them. A show like Chicago ignores a lot. 1776 ignores a lot. But they don't. The parts that they don't ignore, interestingly, are the parts about the biorhythms, where the audience needs a burst of energy, where the audience needs to sit back for a little while.
Right.
They may do it in a way that has nothing to do with how you would plot a story, a typical musical theater story, but they still tend to respond like, oh, we get it.
We got to wrap it up, but I want to ask you, because you've been around a lot of shows in development, working at Jude Jamson, Into the Woods, and Jelly's Last Jam, Hairspray. Is there a moment when you're in that rehearsal studio where you realize it's all coming together and it's going to be good?
Sometimes.
When it's bad, there must be also a moment
Well,
when
it's
you think
interesting.
it's not coming together.
It certainly happened with Hairspray. When we first heard the first act of Hairspray just read, I think everybody felt, oh, there's work to do on this show, but this is a hit show, in a way that many, many other shows I've worked on, even some of them turning out to be hits, didn't feel that way.
Fascinating stuff. The book is The Secret Life of the American Musical, How Broadway Shows Are Built, by Jack Viertel. If you're thinking about writing a musical, or if you just love musicals, got to read this book. Thanks for being our guest on Theater Talk.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so
for having
much.
When's the movie coming out?
me. Tuesday.
Timing.
We are here at 42nd Street and 8th Avenue for the beginning of the ride. Here with me is the creator of the ride, entrepreneur bar none, Richard Humphrey.
Well, thank you for joining us on the ride today. Actually, the ride in masquerade. We have a very enthusiastic crowd getting ready to board with us.
How long did it take you to outfit this bus?
Well, this bus is $1.5 million. It has 40 video screens, 3,000 LEDs, the software to run a Broadway show, surround sound, floor-to-ceiling glass, shake technology. So we buy the chassis and totally create the top of it from scratch. We currently have 4 vehicles. We're planning to get 2 more in construction, lickety-split, because we desperately need them because we're sold out. We have about 12 companies of actors. We employ about 120 performers, everything from dancers to jugglers to improvisational people, and then we have about 25 people in management, doing the mundane things like selling tickets, getting press, the things that really keep everything lubricated for us.
Where are you from?
Japan.
We are from Germany.
Germany.
And everybody. Hi, everybody. All the riders. All right. Renee, you are the chief driver for the ride. How many rides do you do a day?
4 or 5.
Wow.
Sometimes 6.
Hello. That's our favorite thing to say.
Yes, we are moving, so everyone please, I sense you care about your lives, so let us put our seatbelts on before we begin.
Actually, you know what? If you're having a hard time finding your seatbelt, that's because there are no seatbelts.
We do not care about your safety, we care about your fun. Everyone, are you ready to get the ride started?
What's going on? What's that?
Hey guys, I'm the ride.
Oh, the bus
Hold on
talks.
tight,
Oh, yeah.
because you're about to experience the greatest place in the world.
Canada!
This
Oh.
is New York City!
I'm so sorry.
In 3, 2, 1.
New York, it's a city of fright, the city of everyone by parasites, sound sights. Landmark share stories from the bodies underneath the huts and
Now look down, because here is a great view of Times Square. And speaking of Broadway, we're headed toward 42nd Street here.
This is the ride's favorite musical. It's 42nd Street. The overture is We're in the Money. We're in the money. We're in the money.
We've got a lot of what it takes to get along.
Jack,
Just
take
you
away.
guys!
Excellent.
Wow,
Nice
we're really doing
done
it.
over there. You know what? Everyone loves this song, so let's shoot it out to the streets, huh?
What do you think, the ride? Yeah, buddy. Come on. Jackie, can you sense, is this a spirit or is he just rehearsing
He
for
just had a really good...
How much Starbucks have you had today? You're just loaded on caffeine? 5 espressos? Okay, bye.
Oh, wow.
Only in New York.
I know the ride. Only in New York when you see a dancing businessman in a mask and no one else cares.
Everybody in the ride, throw your hands up and just wave them like you can't get enough. Now when I say the, and you say ride, the ride. I stepped out of the last century, but I'm feeling this energy. It's how we gotta rock a little hip hop off of the top cap. You know we can never stop that. It's like this, and we keep it fresh. Gotta give a shout out to the folks here from PBS. Yes, you know I'm feeling beautiful. Like I stepped out of Matilda. Little theater talk suitable.
That was so random.
How much of this is improvised? How much is scripted?
Wow. I would say like half.
Yeah, it's pretty mixed. Some of the script is set in stone.
Like a nice skeleton outline.
Yeah, and some of the jokes are old standbys that we've heard and learned from each other from a long time doing this. But then a lot of it, especially the stuff that happens outside and audience work, is very improv.
We have a lot of first timers here, and we do not want you to get overwhelmed with our amazing city. Can you
Without a
scan
doubt.
New York City?
Affirmative.
Excellent.
Subject, New York City.
Wow.
Population of city, 8.3 million. Number of taxis, over 13,000. Number of taxis when you need one, 0. Country's largest city since 1790. Country's most awesome city since day 1.
Start spreading news. Let's get louder, let New York hear you.
I'm leaving today. I want to be a part of this.
Alberta?
New York, New York. It's up to you.
Jackie's side, feel free to ask us any questions. Have a great time in New York, and if I don't see you again, have a good life.
Our thanks to the Friends of Theater Talk for their significant contribution to this production. Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Frederick Lowe Foundation, the Corey and Bob Dinelli Charitable Fund, the Noel Coward Foundation, Carrie J. Fries, the Dorothy Strelson Foundation, and the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs.
We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you